just want to make sure this chair doesn't leave the building as well. Okay. I'm going to continue. Thank you very much, by the way. And probably before I begin, it would be appropriate just to share my wife meeting with Esther this morning in the elevator, and her being in her stateroom, getting dressed and saying, "Oh, this is sort of an Esther type of shirt," and elevator opens up and there's Esther, and Esther says the same thing that my wife said she would imagine herself to be. So now she's very happy, and we're going to have a good cruise.
Esther has been enjoying her co-creative part in many of your manifestations. It's been happening all over the ship, hasn't it?
Yes.
Where you're holding some clear intentions, and then Esther and Barbara get to play with you in the process. It's a very cooperative dance that you're all doing together.
Indeed.
Yes.
And it's exciting.
Well, these are part of the things that we were talking about. Watch for the manifestations.
Yes.
Watch for the manifestations. Hold an intent and watch for the manifestation. And when the manifestation occurs, acknowledge that the manifestation is the evidence of the alignment that you have discovered with the vortex. Not just with Esther, but with all kinds of things, you see. But Esther has been making a list of how many fun things she's been rendezvousing with you about.
Yeah. Esther helped somebody make a grand playing gambling or something yesterday as well, so that was good.
Well,
in fact, let me.
Esther went to the casino tentatively because she had already decided that she was not going to play. She was going to go as an observer, and so then they got caught up in the futile attempt of putting quarters in the little machine that it was a process of diminishing returns. It was obvious, and then it occurred to them that if there were several of the girls having fun with it, that if they just had enough fun with it, that someone would bring them more money.
Right.
That actually didn't occur to them until someone did bring them more money. But once someone brought them more money, they said, "Well, we could keep this going all afternoon." And so then it was apparent that it was really a waste of money because it was entertaining for a while. And then someone went to another machine, and the very nice man who had contributed a small part of his fortune to their game put his card into a machine and asked Esther to push the button. And when she did, the Wheel of Fortune gave her $250.
Yes.
Not a grand.
No, that was later, after she left, because his energy got set up.
And then
That's what I think.
And then it went further.
Yeah.
So Esther felt fun in the co-creation of something that she had not intended to do. She knew that it was part of someone else's creation.
Yes.
But she is a compliant, a compliant, cooperative component, you say. What have you come to talk about?
Well, I want to continue with the dinner party, because from your perspective, and I think that the most amazing and exciting aspect of my human experience in this time period is this commingling, is this sharing. I want to, and I'm sometimes understanding, as you talk about us being where it's at and on the cutting edge, that perhaps and I understand that you are looking at things from the limitless perspectives that you are looking at. And at the same time, there is something unique about the human experience that has accepted itself to a certain small enough degree to mirror back this experience in an integrated
Those are good words,
fashion.
but let's call it focus.
Okay.
In other words, let's take a spectrum of light and leave it out there. It's not very satisfying, but focus it into something that you can see, and it's satisfying. And that's really what this time-space reality does. It focuses the bigness of that which we all are into meaningful moments.
And I think that that's what I wanted to share about, because as you see that there is nothing better than sitting at this.
Nothing better than...
I'm not trying to limit it.
Nothing better than diverse minds coming together and cooperatively becoming more than they could individually be.
Okay, cool. I get that. Okay. So I've been at a lot of dinner parties where that doesn't happen. And sometimes from what the previous questioner brought up, which is what made me raise my hand and try and take it a little bit further. And I actually sat at dinner with him a couple of nights ago, and it was one of those evenings that went a little bit further. Is that from the human perspective, or from this, it is almost necessary to stretch the being and stretch the mind out into some of these infinite, unfocused
but here's the thing,
categories.
You're working too hard at this, because
Okay.
what it really takes for a really wonderful interchange, whether it's a party, whether it's a group of people around a table, or whether it's a conversation that two points of consciousness are expressing at any point in time.
Right.
What is required for success, and by success we mean joyful engagement, is two people in the vortex.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
That's all. In other words, you don't have to plan what you're going to talk about. You don't even have to plan who's going to be at the table so much. You just have to go tuned in, tapped in, turned on. Because when you are, then you're ready to engage in a more comprehensive way, and then the dance is certain, you see. It's the being in the vortex that matters. And the thing that's interesting is that Barbara and Esther have been doing some writing every night. In other words, they've been doing the specifically negatives, more generally negatives, more generally positive. They were right. They had a nice experience in one of the restaurants, but really bad waiters. Not bad waiters, busy waiters, inattentive waiters.
Yeah.
Not bad, just not good. And they weren't so annoyed by it as they were just observant of it. And so they decided to clean it up. And because they are playing the game. They're playing the game where they want to see universal manifested response to their vortex work. And then it was followed by a 3-hour lunch that was more satisfying than anything that they'd ever either one lived before, which was followed by another 3-hour dinner, which was more satisfying than anything that they'd ever lived before. In other words, and they just kept complimenting each other. We did really good work. 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 Taking complete credit for every wonderful thing that every single person at those tables contributed to it all. In other words, nobody, they were all brilliant and beautiful and clever, and not one of them gets any credit for it. Esther and Barbara are taking all of the credit. Because they wanted it, they lined up with it, they found the feeling place of it, they felt themselves click into place of it. And the point that we're making about it is that the manifestation as it was unfolding was 1,000 times sweeter because they had intended it, because they'd found the feeling place of it. And it is only when you find the feeling place of something vibrationally in advance that you recognize it and are able to rendezvous with it as completely when it is actually manifesting. In other words, it's sort of like becoming connoisseurs of wonderful wine, or connoisseurs of wonderful foods or cheeses, or you develop a palate that makes it even more satisfying once you are experiencing it. And so you're developing your vibrational palette for the nuances and for the depths and for the breadths and for the expansion. And you can take it in any direction you want. You can explore the boundaries of the universe. Yes. You can take any subject, no matter how complicated that you can take anything that you want to explore just for the pleasure of the further exploration of it, and you could get into the vortex about it, and the universe will deliver to you immediately through the path of least resistance a series of next logical steps that, as they unfold, will be the most delicious moments in time that you've ever lived. And it's never ending, never ending, never ending. There should not be a moment that you ever spend that is in less than bliss and rapture and robust living of life. That's who you are. That's who you are. Right before you have sex, right before you have a meal, right before you meet with someone. In other words, get yourself tuned in so that your rendezvous are full of all that you are meeting in the moment. And don't worry about the other humans with whom you're meeting. The only meeting that you're wanting to be aware of is the meeting between you and you. If you meet up with your inner being who's already met up with his inner being who's already met up with her inner being, if you meet up with your inner being, you're good to go. Meet up with your inner being and watch what happens, you see. And then meet up with your inner being and get even more particular about what you want. Come into vibrational alignment. In other words, when you get generally negative and then generally positive, and then you start getting specifically positive, and you start having these specifically positive meetings with yourself before you have your party in this physical world, what happens is you get more and more and more specific about the kinds of things that you want to live. And the more specific you are about what you want as it unfolds for you, the more delicious it is, the more worthy you feel, the more sure you are that you are the creator of your own reality, the more sure you are that you are calling the shots, that you are the one with the magic wand. But the worthy feeling that we're talking about is you finally then get it, that everything that you consider to be good is with you, assisting you, helping you, co-creating with you, you see. The importance of that which you are, the value of that which you are, begins to come into your full awareness, you see. And then somebody will say, oh, you're egotistical. And we say, damn right. Yes, indeed you are. You have brought the fullness of your focus into a powerful moment. People are talking about live in the now, live in the now, live in the now. You have no idea how delicious.
Yeah. New nows, new nows, new nows.
New nows, of course, because there's no moving back.
Right,
there's no going back.
No Barry Manilow, right?
No going back.
Okay. You're just such an exquisite...
we are as brilliant as you are ready to allow us to be.
Yes. Yes, I know. Go for it. Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.